Too predictable in what way?
They just run the ball.
So wait, are they down?
Orange and blue sunset in mile high here in Broncos country. Let's get ready to ride. Russ and the rest are gonna light up the sky. We'll break it down after the game with the guys. Hometown heroes with their own sports bar. The best coverage in Denver. Don't go too far. Just turn on DNVR. We are DNVR.
DNVR Broncos Live, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Head over to DraftKings Sportsbook. Use the code DNVR to get in on all of their incredible deals. How we doing, fellas?
Wow.
Well, she took the headphones off.
That's
so
how we're doing. Well,
Always.
I think our lovely listeners will pick up on that.
That did sound good though.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. It was
Yeah.
nice.
We need to do that
Good
more.
harmony.
Yeah,
I know,
We
like
said
the
we'd lead
Beatles.
off the show with
Yeah,
that.
we should start a
Boy band.
We need a fourth to start a quartet.
I was
Trio.
in a
Yeah, but a
in
quartet, like a barbershop quartet.
How excited would Kale be if we invited him?
Oh,
he would be.
hell!
I was in a men's a cappella group in high school.
Whoa.
And our name was Manwich.
What were the outfits
Wow,
like?
that was right before you joined Pleasure Horse.
Yes, exactly. That's my start in Pleasure Horse. And then we started to add some guitar, and it worked out.
All right, fair enough. All
What's
right,
up, Peyton Manning?
we've
in the
got a lot
comment
to
section?
discuss today. It's a whiteboard Wednesday. We're going to get into the game plan to beat the 49ers. We're going to talk a little bit about how much more dangerous are the 49ers with
danger.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Danger Russ?
Ooh.
No.
Oh,
Kind of the
okay.
It
opposite.
doesn't
Okay.
apply here.
No.
Yep. Than they were with Trey Lance. But first, there is an article that got a lot of attention on NFL Twitter today, and mostly because the fun thing on NFL Twitter right now is shitting on the Broncos. And I really just want to address one part of it because I think a lot of the criticisms of Nathaniel Hacket are very fair. But in the article on The Ringer from Benjamin Solak?
If it's just let's not even give any attention to who it was by if it's all BS.
Well, it's not, but
Okay.
this part specifically is.
Okay.
And that's what they used for, the teaser on Twitter and all this stuff. And this is the idea that the Denver Broncos only hired Nathaniel Hacket because they believed that it gave them a better chance to get Aaron Rodgers, or believed they were going to get Aaron Rodgers if they got Nathaniel Hacket. And this, to me, is just total bull. And I just didn't like the way it was presented in the article as if it was a fact. Like, oh, clearly this is the only reason the Broncos would have hired Nathaniel Hacket. They thought they were getting Rodgers. They had to go plan B to Russell Wilson.
Damn good plan B.
And now, they're doomed because they hired this idiot thinking they were going to get Rodgers, and they got stuck with Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that's not the case.
No.
It simply isn't the case for many reasons. And let's just start with not even first and foremost, but the most obvious. Let's say Aaron Rodgers was the Broncos quarterback these past 2 weeks. Maybe the Broncos are a little more successful in the red zone, but that's not going to fix all of Nathaniel Hackett's game management issues and operation issues. So it's not like that. With Aaron Rodgers here, would just solve everything.
Yeah,
so I mean, even like him pointing at that just doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, the main thing the case he's trying to make is that's the only thing that made him qualified to be a head coach, and now the Broncos are stuck with this guy who, doesn't know what he's doing. And again, my thing is if you're making that contention, then you're calling George Payton an idiot. And that's where I'm like, all the evidence that we have suggests that George Paton is not an idiot. And for him to make a head coach hire solely on the premise that that head coach might be able to help him get a quarterback who is under contract is completely and utterly asinine to me. Made some other nice points in the article, and he did the whole thing that everyone's doing, pointing out all of Nathaniel Hackett's flaws through 2 weeks. But that one for me is like, you're really grasping here, you're really reaching here, and you don't really have much to back it up other than a quote from Aaron Rodgers where he said he wanted to go where Nathaniel Hackett goes.
And another reason why it's insane is it's not like Nathaniel Hackett came on the scene when he was with Aaron Rodgers and he's only been in the NFL for 3 years and that's his only qualification. No, this guy grew up with his dad as a head coach at so many different places. This guy's been in football his entire life. He grew up in locker rooms and then he actually did it himself. He got a job he got a job in the NFL a very similar way that I did, by sending out letters to just so many different people trying to get his foot in the door. His dad didn't help him in that way. So in that sense, he got his start like everyone else, and then he made his way up like everyone else. It's not like he's a 31-year-old who was given a job. No, he's been an offensive coordinator multiple times. He called plays not with the Packers, but with the Jaguars before, and had a ton of success with, dare I say, Blake Bortles as his quarterback.
And it was cherry-picked in the article that he got fired mid-season from that job, but completely ignored in that article that he got Blake Bortles to an AFC Championship game.
Yeah,
exactly. And didn't the whole staff get fired that year?
Yeah.
It wasn't just like Nathaniel Hackett was pinpointed as like the one
everyone,
bad apple.
Right. Everyone has their scapegoat. When the ship is sinking, you throw one guy off the ship to see if it'll help buoy the ship.
Yeah.
And it never does. And then the whole ship sinks.
And then there you go.
Yeah.
it's bad. It's just a bad run.
So I just had to get to that off the top because I don't want that. I don't like that narrative, and I feel like it was starting to spread like wildfire. And I think it's absolutely silly. And again, that's not a Nathaniel Hackett thing. That's a George Paton thing. You're calling him an idiot.
Yeah, and we briefly talked about it before the show, and I gave pushback about even talking about it because of kind of what Peyton Manning in our comment section saying. He says, "Wow, you have to get those clicks, but that's insane to say."
Yep.
But since it is blown up so much, I'm glad we did address it, and that is just absolutely not true. And you're just calling the Broncos organization completely dysfunctional.
There's even like the stuff. There was a big tweet that I saw that blew up. It's like, wait, they hired a passing game coordinator to be their defensive coordinator. Oh, Hackett's so dumb because like they don't say defensive passing game coordinator in the article. It's just passing game coordinator.
That was in the
Wow. It's like I guess you would assume defensive. But
and he was defensive passing coordinator.
Of course.
Also worked under Vic Fangio, Wade Phillips.
And how's he doing right now, by the way?
He's doing damn good. And one point that I think it was in the article that is important to note, and I think is true, is the Broncos are the only team in the NFL who hired a new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, and got a new quarterback. And so I think maybe there would have been a good sign for us that maybe things weren't going to go great off the top. And the truth is, it's also a first-time head coach, first-time offensive coordinator, and first-time defensive coordinator. So there's going to be growing pains, and there have been growing pains, and they've been very painful. More painful than I remember my growing pains when I was growing.
The teeth always got me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't remember teeth at all.
Oh, really?
I just remember legs at like 8 p.m.
Yeah, right in here.
Exactly.
That's such a weird feeling.
It's so weird.
The teeth one.
You remember your teeth coming in?
Yeah. I mean, like when you have like the second round that comes through.
I kind of liked that feeling. I'm weird in
you
that way.
sicko.
When I had braces and you had like the power chain, remember that, where they would like crank it?
Oh wow.
I never had braces.
Did you?
No. Oh, I had braces. I don't remember that part though.
So there was like you get the regular braces and then you go to like there's like a second like braces 2.0, which are like more which are like more intense, and they would crank it and they would be like, "Oh, like we're going to do one crank." So it doesn't hurt too much. And I'd be like, give me 2.
Oh my God. Wow.
Give me 2 cranks this time.
It's like those shoes that you pump up.
Kind of like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Kind of like that. So anyways, wanted to get that off the top. And we can move on from it, but I thought it was silly.
Very silly.
Very silly.
And now let's never talk about that nonsense again.
And I really hope that Nathaniel Hackett makes all of these people eat their words.
And boy, does he have such a good opportunity to do that.
Because you deserve to get freezing cold for writing someone's obituary 2 weeks into their career.
You do. You absolutely do.
Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. They might end up looking like geniuses, but you deserve to get freezing cold take for that.
Yep.
Okay.
No, one more thing. It did remind me, one of the top comments on Reddit, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like the whatever theory or whatever, that any headline that ends in a question mark, the answer is no.
If it's a yes or no question,
Yeah, it's always a no.
the answer is always no. And I never knew that.
Yeah,
I
no,
never
but
heard
it's
of that.
like,
So what was this one?
is Nathaniel Hacket doomed already or something like that?
But the answer is always no.
The answer is always no to
saying
something like that.
anytime a headline poses a yes or no question, the answer is always no, because if the article thought it was yes, they would have posed it as a statement.
Oh, I see. Not
Yep.
the author isn't trying to prove that it's no.
No,
It's
just
the
the
real
reality.
answer.
It's just
is
always
the
just
answer
something
is no.
really
Yeah.
dramatic.
Is Nathaniel Hackett's career already doomed? No.
No.
And if it was,
No.
you would have said Nathaniel Hackett's career is already doomed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it is not doomed, by the way.
No, he's just getting started. Okay. Let's jump into to the San Francisco 49ers and the interesting situation that they have going on there. It's unfortunate because we have literally said since the schedule came out, as long as Trey Lance is the quarterback of that game, I feel good about that being a dub. Of course, Trey Lance running a little QB counter last week, which I guess Kyle Shanahan is getting pressed about.
Yeah.
Like,
What did you think he was going to do
Exactly.
as his quarterback?
Yeah.
you drafted Trey
Yeah.
Lance.
I mean, that's like saying, okay, now we're afraid that Josh Allen's going to get hurt, so he's never going to run again.
Yeah, and he
Even
could
that
actually
one you
get away with that.
understand more, yeah. But like the question was something like, do you regret having run Trey Lance so much now that he's hurt? And he's like, no, because of course not.
That's
wait.
literally
It's just so bad.
his best attribute.
That's
You guys don't understand how much that's still a part of Josh Allen's game, though.
Oh, it is.
Oh, totally.
For sure.
He was the second leading
Oh,
rusher
yeah.
in terms of quarterbacks last year.
But
I'm
that
just
one you
saying,
can
like-
make the case like you put him in the pocket, he's gonna be just fine. Like you could get away with not putting him in harm's way and he'd still be good. But totally, it'd be wrong. Like he should be running.
Okay.
Just like Rush should be running.
He should be.
5 yards so far.
Yeah, I looked it up, actually, not to derail us too much. Over the last 2 seasons, Russ through the first 2 weeks was averaging 8 carries. So right now, 3 carries. It's not that big of a disparity from a numbers perspective, but it is from a percentage, less than 50% as many carries. The year before that, he had 10 carries in the first 2 weeks. And not all 3 years, but most years he starts carrying the ball more after the first 2 weeks, but also carried it more in the first 2 weeks. So we'll see if he kind of turns it up a little bit.
You know who else has 5 rushing yards?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Actually, I think, they both have 5, and Jimmy has a touchdown.
That's true, isn't it? Yep.
Yep, and he's only played in 1 game.
Wow.
Okay.
But we will get deeper into that in the second segment.
So here he is, Jimmy G, starting for the 49ers that he led to the NFC Championship game last year. So the question is, how much more dangerous are they with Jimmy G?
They're better.
They're better.
And here's the honest truth about Jimmy G compared to Trey Lance. Jimmy G has a way higher floor. You know what you're going to get from Jimmy G. The good news is Trey Lance, his ceiling, pretty darn high because the highlights we've seen, 75-yard touchdown runs, how he can move in the backfield just really helps him buy more time. So the ceiling with Jimmy G compared to Trey Lance is way less. But when you play a team just in 1 game, I'd way rather have the guy with the lower floor, especially playing in Denver with the crowd. No, I'd with the Broncos be playing against the guy with the lower floor, which is, of course, Trey Lance. So it's not good. It's a bummer. But when I view the 49ers, guys, and I view Kyle Shanahan and the way he runs his offense and just how good of a offensive mind he is, I think the 49ers may count on their quarterback position the least of any team in the NFL, which is crazy to say just because of how important the quarterback position is. But look at all the success that he's been able to have with Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, last year, Jimmy Garoppolo, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. We're talking about, those are the numbers the Denver Broncos quarterbacks have been putting up the last 5 seasons, and they still got to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
It's crazy how little they rely on it. And so when you talk about it like that, what I think Jimmy does is he eliminates the excessive number of turnovers that could happen in a game with Trey Lance, which is bad news for the Broncos.
To get deeper on Jimmy, I mean, you saw as soon as Trey came out of that last game, the defense took a second to adjust. And they're still like crowding the box. They're still sending guys. The safeties are sitting back deep. Like they're just not letting any big plays happen. And it leaves these big patches of space in the intermediate where Trey Lance is not going to hit those. Like he'll hit. He had like one big crosser that he hit, and you're like, oh yeah, good throw. But it felt a lot like the Broncos with Drew Lock, where it's like, hey, there's that thing that he should be able to do a lot, but it just doesn't really happen. With Jimmy, all of a sudden, you're just hitting all of those, and so that changes a lot, I think, for the Broncos compared to what they've gone up against the last 2 weeks, where I don't think this soft zone sitting off is going to work all that well, because you kind of just need to start contesting those because Jimmy will throw interceptions.
Yeah. I actually disagree with something you said, Zach. You said the ceiling for the 49ers is higher with Trey Lance. Not this week.
Not this week, no.
No, I mean in general.
In the long term, yes, it is.
Yeah.
But in this week, their floor is higher and their ceiling is higher with Jimmy Garoppolo, and that sucks for the Broncos. With that being said, we are talking about Jimmy Garoppolo here. You know, and I think the best way that I can compare Jimmy Garoppolo is to Alex Smith with the Chiefs. I feel
like that.
very similar about it. And you said no one relies on their quarterback less. Back when it was Andy Reid and Alex Smith, I felt the same way because what do Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan have in common? Great play callers. Really gifted at designing plays and calling those plays. And if you have a quarterback who can simply execute those plays and read it correctly, then it makes your job a lot easier. So you're getting the Alex Smith Chiefs this week, and that poses its own difficulties, but it's also very beatable, exploitable, and you can force Jimmy Garoppolo to make quick decisions, and he, like you said, Henry, will give you the ball.
Exactly, because the difference between him and Alex Smith is just that he still loses defenders. Like whether it's a linebacker dropping back, whether it's a safety crashing forward, like there are just times where he doesn't realize that guy's there. I think we might have talked about this with Trevor Lawrence yesterday, but it's very similar in that part of the field where it's just like sometimes they lose that guy, and Alex Smith at the end of his career didn't do that.
Yeah.
But similar, yeah.
But not just, I think, does Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers rely on their quarterback the least of any team in the NFL in general. And I think we've seen that the past couple of years. I think this week it's going to be even on steroids, potentially, depending on if Pat Surtain plays. We obviously know Justin Simmons is out. And if George Kittle plays, which we talked to Kyle Shanahan today, and he's optimistic George Kittle is going to play. But why I say that is Jimmy G, while he is a veteran and been around for a long time, wasn't there in training camp. He's only played now one game. So I think they're still going to try to take it light with him. And they can run the hell out of the football. In fact, this blew my mind when I saw this morning. The 49ers have more rushing yards in each game than they do passing yards. Even if you have a great offensive rushing attack, you still always end up with more rushing yards. And to do that back-to-back games, and I understand that the first game was different because it was in a monsoon, but then they went out and did it last week again. I think Kyle Shanahan is going to say, man, the best way to slow down these pass rushers, the best way to not let Pat Surtain make a play, let's just pound the hell out of this ball.
There you go. And the Broncos have the opportunity to take that away early. You know, this can be a good run defense. Now, again, love to see Josie Jewell out there this week.
You want the good news or the bad news first?
Give me the good.
Josie Jewell was practicing today. You want the bad news?
Yes.
And this is probably worse news than the good news. DJ Jones was not practicing today. And when
That
you
is
talk
really
about
bad.
that run defense, he's a huge part of it. Maybe the biggest part of it.
Quite literally. But what if I could tell you there's a bigger part who's available? It's Mike Purcell.
Okay. Yep.
He's not as good as DJ Jones, obviously, but he can at least plug up space in there and filter things to Josie Jewell if Josie Jewell's healthy. Health, you know, it's easy during the course of a week to lose track of the health of a team, and you just look at the big players and whatnot. But it goes for the 49ers as well. George Kittle, like that alone could make or break this game.
Yep.
Totally.
Now, it doesn't have to, but it very well could be a situation where George Kittle plays. I mean, we've seen what he's done to the Broncos before. He might not almost set the record for tight end receiving yards, but he catches 2 big contested touchdowns in the end zone. Boom, that changes the game entirely.
Especially, we know Justin Simmons is out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you take away George Kittle and they don't have him, oh my gosh, what a sigh of relief for the Broncos. It's almost like a 1-for-1. George Kittle does play. Yikes.
Yep.
And say Josie Jewell's back. You know, so far it's looked like Alex Singleton's kind of taken over that job from Jonas Griffith for that number 2 spot. Can you really put Alex Singleton and Josie Jewell out there if they have Kittle, or do you need Jonas Griffith to have some sort of coverability? But he's made some mistakes. It just forces those sorts of decisions where you have to feel like you're giving something up.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. I mean, obviously the 49ers are just going to go back to what they were doing last year, which should give the Broncos a decent chance at, watching the film. But, I mean, they designed their whole offense this year for Trey Lance, which is a totally different, attack than you're going to use with Jimmy Garoppolo. At the same time, they had Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell is now out. They had the new guy, Tyrion Davis-Price. He's now out. So they're down, they're out there getting Marlon Mack off the street.
Yeah.
Like, they have a lot of health issues as well. The Broncos might be more impactful, maybe, depending on what happens with George Kittle. And he's questionable right now.
I mean, just how crazy is it that a backup quarterback comes in and you feel, as an opponent, you feel worse about playing the backup, and just what had to happen for this to happen? I mean, if Jimmy G doesn't have that shoulder surgery, he is traded. And Kyle Shanahan said at first it was a big bummer that happened because we were going to get something really valuable back. I disagree with Kyle there. I don't think they'd get that much valuable back. And then he ends up signing this deal to stay with the 49ers, and 2 weeks into the season, Trey Lance gets hurt. For the long term, it's bad for the 49ers that Trey got hurt. For the short term, this season, this game, it's good news, crazy enough.
You just wonder how quickly they get back to what they were last year. Like, without working with Jimmy during camp, with him kind of just getting thrown into the mix now. I mean, that playbook, you would think, changed quite a bit when they thought it was Trey Lance instead of Jimmy Garoppolo. So if they can just throw it back to what they were doing the second half of last season into the playoffs, that will be a very good offense, which is kind of crazy to think about after what we've seen from them in the last couple of weeks. But there could also be some growing pains for them as they try to get back into it.
And we haven't even talked about the defense yet, which to me is even scarier. But really quick, and I think this kind of fits where the conversation is. Jose's asking about the injuries of the Broncos. Bad news is Patrick Surtain, Jerry Jeudy did not practice today. Obviously, DJ Jones, Quinn Miners as well did not practice. The good news is Billy Turner is practicing today. I believe he's a full participant for, this would be the 4th practice in a row. Henry and Ryan, if he practices tomorrow and Friday, just like he did today and just like he did last week, he is absolutely playing this game, which is going to be huge going up against Nick Bosa, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a second. And KJ Hamler was back at practice today. He didn't practice all of last week. And boy, with Jerry Jeudy not looking optimistic that he's going to play, you're going to need KJ.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a bad place to be. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the week, but needing KJ Hamler is a bad place to be in.
Yeah.
That's not a knock on KJ and his abilities. It's a knock on KJ's availability.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, yeah, you're crossing your fingers there, but otherwise you're going to have to scheme up a lot. And you're also going to have, I don't know what these conversations look like behind the scenes with Russ and Hackett about, the game plan and how much they're throwing and how much they're running, but if you go into this game with a similar receiving group that you had last week, it has to be a heavy run focus. It just has to be because, nothing allows pass rush to get home more than lack of separation, right?
Right.
That's what a quarterback's looking for, a little bit of separation so they can fit the ball in there. Well, if you're asking Tyree Cleveland and Kendall Hinton to create separation on a consistent basis, you're going to have a bad time, and you can't live an entire game just throwing to Cortland Sutton. So without KJ Hamler or Jerry Jeudy, you are going to need to get really creative and, essentially go probably 75% run. I don't know if they're going to do that.
Well, they have not done that yet, and they certainly haven't done it in the red zone. Let's break down the keys to the Broncos winning, but first got to tell you about our friends over at SportsFan. They've got 4 locations, 2 off of the 16th Street Mall, and the one you got to check out on Broncos game day is the one that we have our tailgate at. So you come to our tailgate, then you pop in SportsFan to check out what they've got going on. In fact, maybe even show up with just an undershirt on for the game, and then you go into SportsFan on your way or when you're leaving the tailgate, pick up something that they've got. They have so many cool things, and just the awesome thing about SportsFan is just the different things they have. It's different. You're going to get people asking you. It's not just going to be like, hey, where'd you get that jersey? People are going to be like, where did you get that super unique set of shorts or a really cool throwback jersey? That's what SportsFan has. So check them out, especially when you're at our tailgate, because they have such cool clothing and apparel. And of course, that location is 18th and Federal. If you're going to be here, if you're going to visit them when you're not at the tailgate, they have exclusive hats, apparel, and accessories. So check them out, SportsFan.
And if you're looking for hats, apparel, and accessories, you've got another option if you're hitting the golf course. That's Pins and Aces. They've been doing a bunch of stuff with our golf guys. It's a really cool brand. They've got all sorts of different patterned shirts. Like they've got some crazy stuff. Like they just put like animals all over the place or like golf things all over the place. It's really cool stuff. And it's definitely worth going and checking out. It's a family-owned golf and apparel business. It's based in Colorado. A lot of people don't know that. And right now you can get 15% off if you use the code DNVR at pinsandaces.com. That's pinsandaces.com. Again, it's really cool stuff. Go check it out.
Also, check us out. Check us out at the tailgate this week. Going to be our biggest and longest tailgate ever. So starting at 1 o'clock leading up to the game. By the way, we have the games on there so you can watch games while you're hanging out at the tailgate. We also have Mile High City Sliders. We also have Breck Brews. And we have great company, good people, and great times down there. So come down there, meet up, and see what's going on. See what's going on at the tailgate this week. Also, if you're a member, don't forget, go through thednvr.com, go to the tailgates tab, and get your special member price, which is a fantastic deal compared to the general public.
I absolutely love it. All right, I love Whiteboard Wednesday as well. How can the Broncos pull off the now an upset over the 49ers at home this Sunday? Guys, let's break down the keys to victory, and let's hit that first one right now. First is cash in the gold zone. Remember Nathaniel Hacket? It's the gold zone down there. We haven't heard that recently because when the Broncos have got to the red zone, it's been a stop sign. And Nathaniel Hacket kind of alluded to that while changing the name to the gold zone, said, we want to turn it into gold there. They haven't, and they need to. 0 for 6 in the red zone. Russell Wilson this past week was 0 for 5 throwing the ball. When they've been in the red zone, I believe the number is 17 passes to 4 rushing attempts. 17 passes to 4 rushing attempts. And, of course, 2 of those rushing attempts were fumbles. You got to have more balance there, and you got to be doing it, and don't be afraid to tell them that you're running the ball. Don't be afraid to put Eric Tomlinson next to Eric Salbert, next to Calvin Anderson, who's brought in as an additional offensive lineman, and run the ball with Javonte Williams. The Broncos have to get one a little more lucky in the gold zone, but they also have to play better because Courtland Sutton, his foot's just a little bit out. And we heard Russell Wilson talk about this today, and someone in the media was absolutely shook that Russ was talking about it this way. What Russ said when asked about the red zone problems was he said, "Yeah, we've had some struggles, but there's a lot of good things here." And what Russ did was he went through 5 of the 6 drives the Broncos have been in the red zone and said pretty much how all of them should have been touchdowns and how they should be 5 for 6 in the red zone. And I view that as, okay, they're close. And we've talked about that, how close they are to touchdowns. A couple of media members, actually, but one specifically said, oh my gosh, that's delusional. Don't make it delusional. Just make it the gold zone and get in this week.
Have you ever heard Russell Wilson talk before? He's obviously going to put a positive spin on it. Like, that's the way that he approaches his life. And, people think it's corny or whatever. I think it's actually authentic. That's legitimately how he feels. He feels we're really close. We're about to punch through. We should be 5 of 6. We're not making big mistakes, or I guess we've made a couple big mistakes, but a couple other, whatever. Don't, trick yourself into being mad about something that Russell Wilson says when he's literally just being Russell Wilson.
How about this, though? Russell Wilson, like you said, talks positive about everyone. He brought up probably 25, 30 Broncos names. All good stuff, of course, except for Albert O. When he was going through the list of players, he goes and, one of the things he said, Cortland, Jerry are great.
Did he mention the other tight ends?
He did. Sabi, making a great catch. I don't remember what he said about Tomlinson. He called Javonte Williams.
Probably said he's an alien.
Maybe one of the best running backs, or maybe the best running back.
Arguably, maybe the best.
Yeah. Argue maybe the best. And then when he brought up Albert O's name, he said, he's still learning the game. It's like, oh, wait, great things about everyone. And that just kind of shows you where Alberto is at right now.
There's nothing positive you can say about Alberto based on what he's done so far. That's the tough part.
I think he had a fantastic game one.
Okay. But it's all
Last
just like
week,
this
sure.
underneath check down stuff. Like, I don't think he really did anything where you say, like, oh, look at what he did. Like 5 catches for...
Maybe it's too small and I'm blowing it out of proportion. He did something we haven't seen from a tight end in like 5 years.
Broke a tackle.
And fight for a first down.
Okay, there's that.
And I
That's
loved
true.
that. I thought that was not only like just showing toughness, but I thought it was football IQ. Again, one play,
There is that.
he got like 1 extra yard on it. Turned out to be a big one. And I just absolutely loved it. But maybe it was just because it
That's
was,
fair.
Something I haven't seen in a while.
That's fair.
But you're right. Last week he did nothing.
He
They needed him
negative.
most.
Yeah.
He had a drop and blew a block.
Yeah. Drop and blew a block.
Didn't make
What
the
was
notes
his-
anywhere else.
Sounds like a
What was
rap
his
song.
grade? What was his grade?
D.
Okay. Generous, Henry.
Yeah. I haven't given out an F yet.
Fair enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
F stands for fair with that one.
Shall
Only
we go?
A plus, even in the
Yes.
preseason back.
What else is on the whiteboard?
Let's hit this next one. Air Javonte.
Oh, yeah. They got to start throwing the ball again. It worked out so well. And there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, this defensive front for the 49ers might be the best in the NFL. We don't need to dig into that too much, but it has a real claim. When you have Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, Samson Ebukam apparently is now really good. Those are just the starters. And then you get into the backups with Hassan Ridgeway, who goes in there. Drake Jackson, who I really liked in the draft. Charles Omenihu was everywhere in the last game. He was hitting the quarterback constantly.
Omena who?
Omenihu?
Did I do that right?
Yeah, there's so many guys. But it's just crazy. And that's, Fred Warner, it's going to be really hard to run the ball. You hope you get Quinn Miners back. You hope you get Cam Fleming back. If you do, maybe that's a fair fight. Maybe you wind up with your 4.5 yards per carry. Anything more than that, I'd be shocked.
Do you mean Billy Turner back?
Oh, yeah, I do. I was thinking of Cam Fleming being out there. But, yeah, that first game, they were able to, first of all, just stretch the field so much that everybody was forced to sit back, and they could dump it off to Javonte, and that's a piece of this, is you need to open up the space by kind of stressing downfield more. But also, if the running game isn't working, you need to find a way to get the ball to Javonte. And I'm concerned about the running game this week.
But what I don't want that to be is after the first 2 drives, you're only rushing for 2 yards per carry, and then you
True.
just abandon it, especially in the red zone. That's where the Broncos have really got off. And what's crazy to me is Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, each with 22 carries so far this season. I think we did a good job just saying, watch out. It's not going to be this Javonte getting 80% of the snaps and 80% of the carries. That's how this is going to be. I like that, though. If the running game's not working, get the ball to Javonte still in space. I just don't want to abandon the run game.
Totally. You can't do that. But then the other piece is that they are so aggressive and send so many people and get in the backfield so fast. You need the screens. I think I mentioned this yesterday, too, but the more that you can use the misdirection, all that sort of stuff, the better off you're going to be in the run game just because they have to think a little bit more. And a lot of that's going to involve throwing the ball to Javonte.
Yep. All right, let's hit this next one. Get mad.
Yeah, the Broncos are 1-1 right now. And yet somehow they're like the laughing stock of the NFL. Now, it's because of mistakes. It's because people think Russell Wilson is corny, all that stuff. And he is. But, people really, really like dunking on the Broncos right now. They got to get mad about that, man. They got to feel like they have everything to prove to the world. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to change who you are or anything like that. But this is your bulletin board material. And it is everywhere. And anywhere you look. And I hope that they look at this and say, let's prove them wrong. Everyone is doubting us. that let's prove them wrong. It's like one of the favorite rallying cries of football players everywhere. Mm-hmm. If you're being doubted, you got to prove them wrong. So I want this team to channel this and use it as a way to motivate themselves, because it is weird how much the Broncos are just being attacked from every angle right now. It's up to them to channel that and say, we've got an opportunity on Sunday Night Football, the biggest football broadcast out there, to shut everyone up.
I like it. Now the Oso Blanco in our comments says, "Get mad. That sounds like more penalties."
That's the one thing
those are the
scares
penalties
me.
you can't do.
You're not mad at. Don't be mad at the 49ers. Be mad at the world.
Right, and prove people wrong on the biggest stage. Do it for your coach that you love right now, because remember, he took care of you during training camp. You got every third day off from working hard, I should say, like physically working hard. And so do this one for him and show that that you do have the right coach there and that you're going to go to battle for him.
No penalties, though.
No
Don't get so
penalties.
mad that you're out there swinging
That's
and
not-
grabbing guys and pushing guys.
That's
I
not
feel like
the
that's
point
part
of this.
No, it's not the point. But if you're playing mad, that's how you wind up blocking a guy 10 yards in the paint.
Yeah,
Cortland
I'm
Sutton.
just be mad about the way that people are talking about your football team.
I like it. All right, let's hit the next one here. We've got Let Russ Run. This is one we touched on earlier. But Russell Wilson, you did not give him $245 million, give up 2 first-round picks, give up 2 starters and Drew Lock to just have him be a different player than he is. He is not 40 years old. When he is 40 years old, yes, he's not going to be the quarterback that he's been the past couple of years. But right now, he is still mobile. Now, I'm not saying have him run 10 times a game. I'm not saying you have to have a bunch of designed runs for him. But if you are going to line up in shotgun within 5 yards of the end zone, there has to be an option for him to run, and there hasn't been that yet. I mean, the passes that he's thrown, it's not like he's scrambling with the option to run. The running plays from what it seems like, those were just straight handoffs. If you're going to do shotgun, he has to have an option to run, or else do not do shotgun. Use Russ's legs to your advantage. Not a crazy amount. Don't try to make him Lamar Jackson. He doesn't have to get 500 yards like he's had in more than half the seasons he's been in the NFL. But you didn't bring him here to average 2.5 rushing yards per game. Nathaniel Hackett wants his career to go a long time, so he doesn't want him to get hit. But you also have to get the best Russ that you can. So let that leash out a little bit.
Yeah, what's interesting is that the Broncos' best plays so far this season have been Russell Wilson extending the plays.
Yep.
He's just doing it in a different way than we're used to, which is like not an insane scramble where he's dodging 2 guys and ducking out of a tackle and then slinging it downfield. He's just dropping back, scanning, stepping forward, stepping a little to the side, and then delivering a strike mostly to Courtland Sutton way down the field. And so you are still getting like the positivity of him being mobile and him being able to extend plays.
He's not buying as much time, though.
No, well, and he's just doing it in a different way. You know, I want to see him get outside of the pocket, make more plays out there, and I just want to see him. When you are standing there and there are 2 massive lanes in front of you and you're 3 yards away from the end zone, just take off, man. You're going to have to take some hits this year. I don't want to see it happen a lot. But with especially the current red zone struggles, do it yourself. You've done it a million times. Mm-hmm. Get out there, dive over the pylon, whatever it may be. I do want to see him run more.
Yeah, absolutely. And Nathan Brown in the comments is saying on ESPN they called Russ fat yesterday. And there has been a lot of that talk.
Get mad.
Local media, national media, talking about how just Russ is not the same guy he was, and he's never coming back. Essentially, this is a great time for him to prove it.
He was always built like that. Like, I went back and watched all the running highlights last night just out of curiosity to see if I was crazy. It's like, yeah, he's lost a step, but not like so much that it's going to totally change. Like, it's not like he was a straight burner before. He was just shifty, but he's always been thick. Like,
sure.
and maybe this is the thickest, but I don't even think I'm confident in that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can relate though if he is at his thickest.
Next one is Trick Jimmy's. Oh, Trick Jimmy.
Oh, they got pushed together.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Trick Jimmy. That one was me. Because of the interceptions. That's what it was. Because, again, he loses those defenders in the middle of the field. Like, you need to be moving guys around. It's the same thing that Vic Fangio always did against rookie quarterbacks, where it's like, we're going to have 2 safeties high. One of them's going to drop, though, and you're not going to know which one. And then the whole coverage rotates. Then you wind up not understanding what's happening on the other side of the field when you look back. The same stuff works with Jimmy Garoppolo. And who knows? Maybe he's ironed out some of that stuff. Maybe he's actually turning into, I don't even know. Like, maybe Alex Smith, I guess. Maybe it is Alex Smith that he's trying to turn into. But he just has that penchant to turn the ball over, to make a couple of throws a game. He was even doing it last week after they started to get more aggressive defensively. You need to just be moving guys around. And the good news is you have a bunch of that versatility, and better news is that they've been using it. Even when Justin Simmons was in, he's not just playing center field. Half the time he's up in the box. So with Caden Stearns, with K'Wan Williams, I think you got a chance for somebody is going to get an interception in this game. I think I'm confident in saying that. And I think that you can get multiple if you just keep moving guys around, blitzing from different places.
So, serious question. Are you okay with dropping Bradley Chubb and Randy Gregory into coverage occasionally in terms of those kind of being the guys that come out of nowhere?
I mean, you're running a 3-4 defense. Like, you don't really have a choice. Like, that's the scheme, is that you have to drop those guys occasionally. And does that mean that maybe you should have gotten different players to fit those roles, or maybe look for somebody more versatile? Who knows? But I do think that is just a thing that needs to happen. It's not, drop back and cover 15 yards downfield.
Yeah.
But Bradley Chubb needs to be able to run out in the flat and cover a running back.
And we know that they want both of these guys to do it because we've seen both of them drop into coverage so far in these first 2 games.
Randy Gregory forced an incompletion just by being huge.
Yeah.
The other day. They have him drop into coverage, and he's essentially just in the passing lane on a comeback route. And Davis Mills just throws it high because he's got to get it over Randy Gregory, sails it, 20 yards out of bounds.
And the good news, well, maybe against the 49ers, I'm curious, because they do use so many tight ends. You're probably stuck in that 3-4 a lot. But you still, modern NFL, you play so much nickel. A lot of the time, those two are just going straight ahead anyway, so you don't have to worry about it. It's only when you're playing that base defense that matters.
Yeah,
all right.
They need Surtain, man, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's not looking good. All right, Ryan, tell me about this trust circle.
Yes, the trust circle. You need to trust each other. You need to trust each other. And it starts with Nathaniel Hacket trusting his coaches. He's got to be able to take some things off his plate and trust his people to give him information and go back to believing that. I feel like Nathaniel Hacket is overthinking a little bit, and that you have to trust the information that you have, but you also have to trust what your eyes are telling you about the game. Zach, we were talking about the option run after the show yesterday, and you said you're averaging 5 yards a carry or 7 yards a carry with Javonte Williams. You don't need to call that play there, and I think that in his heart, Nathaniel Hacket knows that. But he also went into the game thinking, okay, we love this play. It's working all week in practice. When we have a crucial 3rd or 4th and 1 that we really need, I'm going to call this. And so when they got down there, it's kind of like the 64-yard field goal where he's saying, okay, well, we had this plan. We got to the 46 left hash. Don't I have to stick with what we said?
Right.
And instead of just being like, I trust my gut here, which tells me we have Russell Wilson. We should go for this and get closer, and we have a minute and 3 timeouts. Same thing is, we're crushing them. We don't need to pull this play out now. That's what my gut tells me, but I came in. So trust yourself, trust your coaches, trust your guys to go out there and make plays.
Trust Russell Wilson.
Absolutely.
Over Brandon McManus, and that's not a
For
shot
anyone.
at Brandon McManus. Exactly. Trust Russell Wilson more than anyone. I mean, he said earlier this week, it's all about Russ in terms of building the offense. So make it all about Russ.
But also run the ball in the inside the 5 occasionally.
100%.
Like, that's not. There's other times to trust Russ.
Totally.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Totally.
All right, I think we got 2 more here.
2 more.
A bonus one, roadblock. If you shut down the 49ers running game, you're going to win. Because Jimmy G, he can put up a great game. He can put up 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 250 yards. He can do that. But he's not going to put up 300 yards, 300 touchdowns, or three touchdowns. What he can also do is 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and 154 yards. And if that's what he does, and you hold them to 100 rushing yards, you are going to win. Kyle Shanahan is going to run the hell out of a ball. Right now, they're a top 5 rushing team in the NFL, and it doesn't matter who their running back is. And that's one of the things that his dad was so good at, too, that he picked up from his dad. Shut that down, and the Broncos win the game.
I like it. I like it a lot because that running game, it's so much of what they do. And not just because they rack up the rushing yards, but because it forces linebackers to say, oh, no, we're giving up 5-6 yards a carry. We need to shut this down. We need to get forward. And that's when they hit you with the little jet sweep. Or that's when they hit you with all. They have so many different misdirection plays. Everything is misdirection. Almost all of it. It's just outside zone, misdirection. And so when you're forced to be worried about the running back, and then they start bringing Debo in there too, and you're like, oh no, now Debo's in the backfield. Is he going to run the ball? And then they hit you with the whatever. It's just so nice when you can not worry about it. Just know that you are going to be able to stop the run, like things are going well, and you can pay attention to other things and not overcommit. So I really like that one.
All right, and then final one, I think, Hank, you'll really like this one as well. It is... Don't eat NyQuil chicken.
Yeah, this is just a general PSA for everyone, including the Broncos. It seems like it would be a bad idea to eat NyQuil chicken anytime, but I'm just hoping the Broncos don't do it before the game.
Yeah, not a good pregame meal, Nathaniel Hacket.
Also, just can't be falling asleep. Need to get those play calls out. I feel like maybe the last 2 weeks pregame meal has been NyQuil chicken, and that's why they're just not in as much of a rest. A little slurry, getting the play calls out slows everything down a bit.
Well, he did say Monday, though. He gets a little excited, so that may be a way to calm him down.
Oh, maybe
eat it. But kids don't eat it.
Have you guys been seeing this?
I only saw it once yesterday, and it's like a real thing, right?
I mean, at least it's a thing that people are doing as a bit. Then I think the worry is that people are going to think it's not a bit and then actually do it and eat it.
It's a weird thing where it's like the FDA said, everybody don't do this, but I almost wonder if nobody was doing it and it was just a joke, and the FDA was just like, wait, people are doing this because they're all old people that aren't in touch with the internet.
Remember the Jenkum craze?
No. What is that?
Anyone? No?
No, by yourself.
I'm not going to say what it is.
Oh,
it's too gross.
Okay.
The last thing I remember is the Tide Pods.
Okay, the Tide Pods,
yeah.
Jenkum is like 2007-ish.
Oh, okay.
I wish I knew how to
Don't
Google
Someone
that.
I know someone in the comments knows what I'm talking about here. Anyways.
Yeah, people are saying
I'm
what?
not quite sure people do know, actually.
People know what it is.
Someone else
for
said Tide Pods, yeah.
Tide Pods, NyQuil chicken. The worst thing is that NyQuil chicken actually looks worse than it sounds.
Oh, the blue in there with the chicken.
With the raw
Thank
chicken.
you.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It definitely, you know how there's some things that like they put the warning on, like it may look good, but don't eat it? Nothing about NyQuil chicken looks edible.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, and still, Ryan, no one knows.
Dr. Van here says, feed your opponents NyQuil chicken.
I can't believe. I mean, I gave the group chat here. There we go. There's one.
Oh, we got Craig.
I'll give you guys the definition. Jenkum is a purported inhalant and hallucinogen created from fermented human waste.
Oh my gosh.
no.
Are you kidding me?
But again, it's like one of those
Where
things.
was that going around? It wasn't going around TikTok back in 2007.
No, yeah, I don't know.
Was it the thing before
terrible.
TikTok? What was that?
Vine?
Yes.
Vine?
Yes.
It wasn't
Yes.
Vine. It was even before Vine.
Oh, we got people saying planking, the cinnamon challenge, the milk
Coning?
crate challenge.
Ever do
Oh,
coning?
Yeah.
No.
You really
I
seem
was-
like you're in on the trends.
Oh my gosh, we got a more detailed explanation from
Ew.
Jonta. Yikes.
We have someone being like, really? Not talking football? This is the first second that we've
We've
not
been going
been
for
football.
almost an hour, and this is our first non-football. Coning, real quick. I had one of the first viral coning videos.
Jermaine.
Probably
started
That's why they were calling me Koenigsberg after that. You go to McDonald's, you order an ice cream cone.
This is messed up.
It's really not. And then when they hand it to you out the window, instead of grabbing the cone, you just grab the ice cream.
People
And then
got
you drive
so
away.
mad.
Did you
The
do
employees
that?
would get so mad
Yeah,
about
several
it.
times.
Wow.
In
And
one
some
night.
rage.
And then we made a video of it. And
Wow.
like, I mean, not viral is probably a strong word, but based on like 2013 internet standards, it did like 150,000 YouTube views.
Dang.
Oh,
That's
wow.
Imagine if you did that now. Do you need to bring it back?
Maybe.
Yeah.
You want
I-
to tell the people what you did yesterday?
Oh boy.
Oh, I did the hot dog straw, the straw dog.
That's not a thing. That's one person that did it.
Way.
That's not a trend.
No, it
Oh, it's a
became a
trend.
trend on Twitter
how was it?
and on TikTok.
It was terrible, man.
Okay, yeah. It didn't make either one of them better.
It actually did make the beer better.
Really?
I'm not going to give any free advertisement, but they didn't have the Breckenridge beer I was looking for, so I had to settle for a different beer.
Okay.
A worse beer.
Okay.
And this, I can say with all honesty, I think it made the beer a little bit better.
Wow, like a little saltier?
Yeah, a little salty, a little like
Meaty?
probably grease.
Yeah.
Like
No.
butter or
Maybe?
something.
Yeah. Was it warmer though?
No, not really.
Okay.
That because the beer cooled down the hot dog immediately.
Oh, that's good.
People
So
are
it did-
saying, RK, no,
So
not the glizzy.
the worst part is trying to put the straw through the hot dog. Thought that would be easier.
That was
Very
so
difficult.
gross,
That,
too,
I was
to
gonna say that
see.
sounds disgusting.
I posted a picture of the inside of the straw
Did you suck it
afterwards.
out?
No, I blew it out.
Oh no, yeah, I think you gotta suck it out.
That's
oh,
disgusting.
It's a waste of a dog.
And then my hands were so greasy.
because you're just holding.
Yeah, 'cause
onto
you were
the
trying to
dog.
hold the
Oh,
dog.
That's why there's a
man.
bun there.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh, I
you used
should've
the
used the
bun.
You really
Oh,
had to
yeah.
stabilize that dog. And then the hot dog was absolutely inedible afterwards because it was just like cold.
Did you try it?
Yeah, I had one
Took
little
a
bite.
Okay, fair.
And the drinking of it was gross. But then the beer afterwards, I enjoyed.
Wow. Okay, so
People are saying pause. Don't keep talking about this.
the pause is the pod pull. What's more disgusting, Ryan's glizzy or what is it?
NyQuil chicken.
No, the other one.
Kicking the 64-yard field goal.
Jankum?
Yes, Jankum. Which one would you rather try?
Okay.
All right, DraftKings Sportsbook. They know what's up. And more football talk. Football is all over DraftKings Sportsbook, and it's so much fun getting in there on a Thursday night, starting your weekend with the 7-point challenge, the early win. Ryan and I, Henry, did you cash out on that as well with the Chargers?
No.
No, because you were all in on the Chiefs, which you
Yep.
actually ended up winning
Yep.
too. Yeah, so we all won money last Thursday night over at DraftKings Sportsbook. You can get in, and all you have to do, bet money line on either the Steelers or the Browns this week. And if either team goes up by, or if your team goes up by 7 points at any point in the game, you win your bet. Doesn't matter. Ryan and I cashed out on that by going Chargers money line.
Sure did.
Win up 10 points. Ryan, we cashed out
7.
right away. Then you put your bet on the Chiefs money line. You cashed out big time.
So
you
fun.
can do that again this week, tomorrow night over at DraftKings Sportsbook. And for new users, if you place a $5 bet, a money line bet on any NFL team, you're also going to get $200 in free bets. It's going to be paid out in 8 $25 free bets. So head to the App Store now, download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and use promo code DNVR when you sign up to get this offer. That's promo code DNVR over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. So DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700 and check out all of the terms in our description.
There you go. I've got the comment section in a tizzy right now.
And a glizzy, you might
Yeah,
say.
glizzy tizzy.
Yeah.
Also, check out our friends at Mile High City Sliders. Unfortunately, they don't offer hot dogs, so you can't do that at the tailgate because I would like to see that. That would be funny. But they do have awesome sliders, so make sure you get some sliders from them. Drunken Meatball is amazing. They also have the jalapeno popper. Had 2 of those the other day. They're also good. The meat is juicy. The buns are delicious. The jalapenos are spicy. The cream cheese is awesome. You get the drift. Check out our friends over at Mile High City Sliders. And if you want to have them for one of your events, you can call 720-375-3464 to book any event in the metro area.
Man, when you're talking about juicy meat, I thought you were talking about the glizzy.
I'm just trying to feed the comment section because they're just having a great time right now.
You gonna feed them with some glizzies?
Remember that GIF that I'm not going to do the motion? The GIF we got of you making
Yeah,
a fun.
yeah.
I think they got one of me.
I think they did. Yeah, what were you doing, Ryan?
I got.
We need someone to make that a gift for us. All right, should we hop into the comment section?
Let's
do
hop
it.
in.
We've got
2 super chats from yesterday. that
two
we're
super
gonna
That's
get
chats
right.
from yesterday. We're never gonna miss a super chat.
We always take care of these people. First one's from Garth. He says, Zach has me thinking 7 wins with Russ suing Richard Sherman for character defamation.
Maybe the last part. I don't think 7 wins.
I don't think so either.
And credit to Hank, we don't know what this team is right
Yes.
now. If, though, I was going to throw out a prediction, this team is 8-9 win team right now. So I'm going to take a stand because I shot at you yesterday for not taking
wow.
a stand. I thought I should take a stand right now. However, this game right here, and this is not a must-win for the season like I thought last week was. I'm not going to make every game a must-win. But this game, I think, really shows where the team is going, which direction the team is going.
Yeah. Well, no, I disagree. I think if they win, it's a much bigger sign than if they lose. If they lose and things look a little bit better than they did last week, but they're still having some of those issues, I think you can make the case, okay, they're working towards a bigger thing. If they win, it's probably going to be on the heels of a really good performance, and you're going to be able to say, okay, they worked out the kinks, and this team's headed to big places. If they lose, it's like, all right, now you got to get one next week. It's kind of that same story, and as long as you hover around 500 for the first half of the season, you can always get hot late.
No, and that's where I disagree with you, just because of the way this Broncos schedule is. Now, if the schedule turned out how I wanted it to be, with the first half of the schedule hard, I'd agree with you. But just the way the second half of this schedule is, you have to be above 500 before the break.
They should be.
Yeah.
They should be.
That's fair. Yeah, I do agree with that. I've got them at 9-8 for what it's worth. It's actually kind of fun.
So taking a stand, I like it. Henry.
I mean, if you're going to. But the software I used to predict all the games, like I picked every game, remember? It automatically updates every week. So it just like changes that result to what it is. So I can watch everything change. So it's kind of fun.
Wait,
I'm saying by the
9 software? I thought he went through and picked like 3,000 games.
Oh no, I did. You do pick them all.
Oh, you did.
But
pick
it's like
them.
a program.
If you pick
and then
if you pick one team's schedule, then all of those games go on to another team's.
Oh, okay.
It just gives you like every week. Here's the list of games and pick.
And then it just
next
updates
week,
throughout the season.
Yeah, for the updates.
Okay, I
So
like it.
how are you looking so far?
There have been some changes. The Chiefs are now supposed to go 14-3, which is I think I can't have him losing twice. I think I must have had 13 wins. That was the big one that stood out though.
Okay.
Are they the best team right now?
Has to be the best.
Yeah, that is the best. I had the
Has to be the
Packers
best.
doing better. The Packers fell off. I think the Bucks are now in front of them. I had the Bucks losing one early.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the Bucks are 2-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk next week. I
Kind
can
of been
look more.
underwhelming
Yeah.
2-0. Okay, I like it.
And another one from Naj. The negative national media attention on Wilson is infuriating to me. I hope he shows out this week, and I believe he will, as will Hackett. This team needs the fans to not boo and support them loudly this week. Go Broncos. Man, I woke up at 3 a.m. last night, randomly in the middle of the night.
Hot sweats.
Yeah, I think it was the glizzy dog.
Oh my
The
god.
glizzy straw.
People are saying I took it too far. I think you took it too. I don't know
don't even know
how
where
did
you
I
took it.
take. That's what I'm saying.
I think you were maybe when you were talking about what you wanted me to do with the meat inside of the straw.
And that's literally what I
Did you
was
almost get
referring
got
to.
again?
That had no bad. That was not dirty.
Anyways, 3 a.m. wake up. And I don't know why, but all I could think about was I can't believe the Broncos booed Russell Wilson. Broncos fans booed Russell Wilson. And I know everyone says they weren't booing Russell Wilson, but they booed the team in Russell Wilson's first ever game. That's crazy to me. I couldn't stop thinking about it. It kept me up for a while.
And legitimately, like, this is the worst reception a rookie head coach has ever gotten at home. Like the
100%.
I mean, even on top of that, like the worst media reaction on top of that, like there has never been a rookie head coach down as bad as Nathaniel Hackett is through 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And obviously I haven't seen every one of them, but I'm confident saying that.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, like, how could it be worse?
I'm confident in backing you on that. And Ryan, it's a good point. I have not thought about it in the way that Russell Wilson was booed, even if it's not directed at him. His first home game, the odds for that would have been like 1,000,000 right when the Broncos traded for him. Is Russell Wilson going to get booed in his first home game? You would have said no. But I because I've always thought of it as it was Nathaniel Hackett getting booed,
and they
not
won.
Russell Wilson, and they won. Not the first time we've seen that, though.
It's just bad. And, people who don't like the Broncos or their fans use the word spoiled a lot. And I don't know how I could even disagree at this point.
But also kind of along, Hank didn't say this, but along those lines, I don't think we've ever seen this poor of a start from a coaching staff in terms of like the operations and the game management and the penalties. Now, not all of that's on them, of course, penalties and stuff, but it just reflects where the team's at right now. I don't think we've ever seen that bad of like a 2-game series together, and so that's why fans are mad.
And it's definitely an overreaction. Like, maybe not a huge overreaction. I mean, it's the internet. You know, it's always an overreaction. Any meme is an overreaction. Anything like, oh, the Mitchell Trubisky sucks stuff back in the day. It was an overreaction. Did he suck? Yeah. It's not as bad as it sounds. That's just how things go. When you are like the number one top of the shit list, you're always going to get more than you deserve. But, like,
what's funny
he does probably deserve to be number one on that list.
What's funny is if the Broncos went out and won 30-10 this week, and Nathaniel Hacket pressed every correct button on national TV, the next day would not be headlines of like, were we wrong about Nathaniel Hackett?
No.
They just wouldn't talk about it. You know, they talk about the game, wouldn't talk about Hackett, and they'd move on. And then like 6 weeks from now, they would still be cracking jokes about it.
Oh, totally. Like he is this guy at least for this season.
Yep.
Like nothing is changing. Everybody's getting their jokes off. He is going to be looked at as a joke of a head coach, and he doesn't deserve. I mean, he could deserve it at that point, but even if he doesn't deserve it, he will still get it. That's just how this works. People make their decisions and they stick with it.
You get to the playoffs and you're good. But if you don't get to the playoffs, and let's say you're 9-8, or let's say you're 10-7, and you miss the tiebreaker, then people are really gonna point to it.
Yeah,
and if you're bad, then people are really gonna point to it too. So I think you make the playoffs, you're good.
Even if you make the playoffs, like the game is gonna probably come down to something. You know, like if it comes down to a close game, people are gonna find a mistake that you made somewhere along the way and just hammer it right into their narrative.
What do you mean?
So, like, the Broncos make the playoffs.
A playoff game?
Yeah, and then they lose a game, and, you know, they didn't go for it on 4th and 2 from the 48. People are just going to be like, wow, look at this guy again. He blew it for him, you know.
Sure.
Might as well bring it up.
He's not going to be perfect.
We heard from Kyle Shanahan today, and he was talking about Hackett a little bit, and obviously said, you know, you guys are lucky to have him. He's a good coach, all that. But he also brought up, in his first game, he went for it on 4th down 4 times, should not have done it, and just said, like, yeah, I didn't really... It was just bad decisions in the first game. Like, you just learn. And that is important to remember, that that's a thing that happens with everybody, including coaches.
Learning is possible if you're willing to do it.
And that's why I hope Nathaniel Hackett is. He said, and this was interesting, he said over these past few days he's learned a lot from George Payton and Darren Muji, the Broncos assistant general manager. Interesting.
Notably not coaches ever.
Exactly. Interesting. Obviously, those guys have been around football. They know a ton. Good resources to have. I just thought that was kind of interesting that it's not like the Dom Capers of the world, or he didn't call his dad up. I know he probably wouldn't want to say that because then he'd be trolled a lot for like relying on his dad. But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Too many voices. Too many voices.
Get the voices out of your head.
Everyone likes Nathaniel Hackett and everyone wants to help him. But I think he's getting too many voices right now, and I don't want him thinking, "Oh, what did so and so say? What did so and so say? You know, what would so and so do?" Like,
trust yourself.
Yeah, just trust yourself.
Yeah.
Just be you, man.
Yep.
He's the best at being him.
He is.
And I feel like last week he overcorrected from who he was in week 1.
Yep, I agree.
Also, run the ball.
Run the ball in the red zone.
One more time. Run the damn ball.
What's funny is, you know, today I was on CHGO Bears.
Big time.
Big
baby.
podcast out of Chicago.
Big time.
And
literally, it is a big podcast out of Chicago.
It is. And they were telling me, like, Matt, this is big Matt Nagy vibes. Like, just got to be honest with you. And
With Hackett?
Yeah, and it's funny because I just said, like, got to be you. And Matt Nagy once got, like, I don't know if the word is caught, but there was a screenshot of he had wrote on his play sheet in big letters, "Be you," and then he got dragged for that. Which I don't think that's a problem.
I don't know.
It just, I see why he would get dragged for it. Like, the coach of our team really needs to write "Be you" on it.
Yes.
I mean, it reminds me, like, when I went to Minnesota with my girlfriend and we were like her stepsister's room or something. There's in the bathroom, there's just like a thing that says like, someday you're going to be a millionaire, like, or something like that.
Love
or,
that.
like, just
speak it into
be yourself.
existence.
It's so cheesy. I don't need
it's
those
not.
things that sounds like today will be a good day if you make it. Like, oh, shut up.
No,
like,
I'm
just go-
all for talking things into existence.
I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm not surprised why someone would get dragged for that.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me. Like, one time, I when I was playing golf in high school, like, had just this little hitch where I was like taking my eye off the ball. Like, I hadn't done it in years, so I literally just wrote on my thumb EOB, eye on ball. And every time I looked down to grip my club, it reminded me, and I got it out of my system.
But that's like actual coaching. That's like something that you had to do.
That's true.
Like Matt Nagy isn't like not. It's like
Just a
not
reminder.
an actual
4th and 2 from the 40. You look at your play sheet. You're like, BU. I go for this here.
Should
You
that
know
be-
what I mean?
Should that be the call? All right. Let's be you. This is the play call. Be you, baby.
Russ, just be you. Just go do your thing.
It's like
Actually,
All right,
yeah, let's
let's
do that.
let's get into these comments because
Right.
we still haven't even gotten to the comments on the website. So Jazzy Bronco comes in and says, "Hey guys, it's been too negative in here. Give your team some time to grow and build together. Tomorrow I'll begin my pilgrimage that will end at Mile High Sunday night for my first ever in-person home game." So many people saying that this year. "I will come ready to erupt on every big play we make while not booing our guys and counting down the play clock if necessary. It's time for Broncos country to ride." 2 quick questions. First, is RK's seat locator app live yet? Since it's the first game there, I may need some help finding my seat from the sounds of things.
Is it up?
No.
Is it up and running? Okay, no. Good luck finding your seat then.
What was that about? Oh, I said
It was because you said like sometimes in the stadium it's not direct, it's not easy to find your seat.
it's just not a perfect circle concourse as every stadium should be.
It really should be.
I do. When he says like I begin my pilgrimage, it's like I just picture him in like a boat.
Oh, for
Like he's
sure.
just paddling. Like
I
he
was
just sounds like
thinking of
I
a
set out
covered
tomorrow.
wagon.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially here in the Wild West.
Yes.
Second, what time is too late to plan to come to the tailgate? I know I can't make the bus because my friend is flying in that morning and I will not be on the ground in time. But I still would like to buy tailgate passes if we can make that work. Looking forward to an epic weekend and a huge Bronco win. Cheers. No such thing as too late to the tailgate. I mean, even if you got there by 4, that would be a normal amount of time to tailgate before the game.
Especially for people that haven't been to Empower Field yet. It's not like it's a mile walk from the tailgate to get into the stadium. No, I mean you're just across one parking lot and not a massive parking lot. It's a 3-minute walk from the tailgate to get to the entrance of the stadium.
That's for Zach, who basically floats. He
is nimble.
It's a 7-minute walk.
Okay, 7-minute walk, but it's not like you have to plan so much time to get in the stadium.
You can see. I mean, you can literally. Not
the
literally.
music?
You could probably hit a golf ball with bounce. You could hit a golf ball from our lot to the stadium.
Definitely.
Oh, I feel
Especially-
like you could get it without a bounce. No, is it that far?
I don't think
I think
so.
it's over.
further?
I can hit a ball on my bet. I don't even want to.
All concrete,
I can hit
though,
the ball
like, yeah.
over 300 yards. It's longer than that.
You just
It
gotta
is?
hope
Okay,
you don't like
okay.
roll into one of the pots with the trees. You know, like the little dirt square cutout
Oh,
things.
Yeah, you have to get
hit
lucky.
Hit a car.
Ooh, would
Yeah.
not want that.
I'd be
would not
aiming.
want that.
You know the place where they have like the face mask coming out of
Yeah.
the ground and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
If you get it onto that path, like
Just
it's pretty
totally
clear.
concrete.
Totally.
Yeah, pretty clear
Yeah.
from there. Anyways, it's close.
Windy City Broncos says, I know how much you guys love a good relationship metaphor, so here you go. Broncos fans find themselves in a new relationship. It was an exciting summer love affair with so many possibilities. We thought we were ready for something new. We wanted to move on. But as summer turns to fall, our past haunts us. We knew those past relationships weren't going to work. Deep down, we knew, but we didn't want to be alone. I mean, are we going to go root for the Browns? So we compromised and we talked ourselves into it. Maybe Bridgewater is the answer. Maybe this time it will be different. It isn't that our new relationship is bad. It's still so new and so full of potential, but we worry about repeating the same mistakes. Is this for real or just another bad relationship ready to end in tears? Are we falling for another or for another loser, or do we just need to patchwork through a rough time? Hackett isn't Fangio or Vance Joseph or even Gary Kubiak. Wilson isn't Manning, but he definitely isn't Locke, Bridgewater, Osweiler, Flacco, Keenum, or Lynch. We can't let those who hurt us before leave us jaded and cynical. Let's be hopeful. Let's dream of what this relationship can be. Let's work through these tough times because this team might just be the one.
It reminds me of something, by the way, great metaphor. Good job. It just reminds me of like, you know, the thing I was just saying about booing. It's a reaction. It's not a reaction of really what happened in that game. It's a reaction of what's happened the last 6 years. Everyone is so antsy and on edge to see this team play good football again that the, you know, mismanagement and kind of like yakety sax type of game management has everyone like extra anxious. And so, you know, they let it out by booing, and I get that part, but it is not that it has to be fair, but it is unfair to Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett, Evero, all those guys, because they had nothing to do with the fact that the Broncos are in this position. But fans are here always. You know, it's like that TikTok that came out the other day of this Bears fan who was like so upset, and his girlfriend said, "You never like show me this much emotion." He's like, "I've known you for 2 months. This was my team for 22 years."
Oh my gosh, that is incredible.
And it's it's that like Broncos fans have been here through all of this, so they have experienced all that, and that is where this anxiety and frustration is all coming from.
If they played in the AFC Championship game last year and then added Russ, everybody's like, oh, yeah, we're working through it. It's going to be just fine. They have the pieces. Now, the difference is obviously they didn't, and so they actually might not have the pieces, but totally.
Next one from Randy Chubsack says, "Hey, gentlemen, it's been a while since I last asked a question or commented, but I've been listening to the pod. The Sobey brothers, myself, younger brother, and father will be making pilgrimages from Oregon and New Mexico to the
Oregon
bar."
Trail.
Yes, here we go.
So many pilgrims.
For our first ever Broncos home game in October against the Jets, we strategically got a place to stay within walking distance of the DNVR bar, and we'll be doing the full party bus and tailgate experience.
Let's go.
I'm ridiculously excited. Here's my question for the pod. The Broncos Hall of Fame nominees were announced the other day, which made me reflect on the fact that we have no Broncos Ring of Fame inductees this year. Why in the bleep is Gary Kubiak not in the Ring of Fame? And when will we put him in? 9 years as Elway's backup, 11 years as a quarterback coach / offensive coordinator, 2 years as a head coach. He and Elway are the only Broncos to have had direct hand in all 3 of the Super Bowl victories. When can we expect him to be placed into his rightful spot in the Broncos Ring of Fame? Or am I delusional and overvaluing his importance to the franchise?
Do you not know what IIRC stands for?
Nope, skipped right over it.
Do you, Henry?
If I remember correctly.
Yes.
There we go.
If you remember correctly, that's what it stands for.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
I thought you were going to call me out on that.
Are assistant coaches allowed to make the Ring of Fame? Probably not, right?
Especially, I was going to say, like, if you got a great defensive coordinator, almost like a Wade Phillips, but it'd have to be for an extended amount of time where he's actually calling the plays.
Right. Okay. Our backups in the Ring of Fame.
No, you lose. There's one spot where you get me, though.
Okay. So our Super Bowl head coaches in the Ring of Fame.
They absolutely
They
are.
should be.
And I
one
think
of them is.
What's crazy is his head coach tenure is so short.
Yeah.
But he does get lifetime achievement, and the fact that he became the head coach and won a Super Bowl is enough to, I would say, illuminate the rest of his achievements as a Denver Bronco and make them count. Because you probably couldn't ever make the case against a Super Bowl winning head coach not being in it. So he'll be in within the next 3 years.
Yeah, he should be. I completely agree. And Jose with a great comment. He says, just add Kubiak just below Elway in smaller letters. Wouldn't that be incredible? Jose, that's great.
That might be the comment of the year.
It seriously is. And the reason no Broncos are going into the Ring of Fame this year is because...
all the good ones are in?
All the good ones are in. No more. They're done. Is because they didn't want to make a decision before a new owner was here. So they kind of took the cheap way out.
Weird line to cut things off. Like, they're not the owners yet.
Right.
Also, they don't know anything.
Right,
it's not like you're devaluing the franchise. It's not like they're like, oh, yeah, $4.6 billion. Oh, no, you put him in the Ring of Fame? 4.5.
Maybe they couldn't afford another Ring of Fame
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe they wanted to have the conversation about the new stadium because they're like, maybe we shouldn't put any more people in the Ring of Fame after we run out of slots.
I like where we're going down this route.
Next one's from Melbourne Broncos. Says, my boys, are you really surprised at the personal attacks on Coach Hackett? After all, we are talking about social media, the platform for cowards hiding behind fake names that get ignored by officials. Twitter is a swamp. The other is no better. And on that note, bring the Aussie Rules grand final this weekend. Go Swans.
It took a turn in the middle there, but go Swans.
I guess I'm not surprised. It's just weird, man. I think it's just... It's just weird.
If you do the dumbest thing of the week, you're going to get way more hate than you deserve. That's just how the internet works. He's right.
Yeah, I will say the Solak article today was one of those things where, like, you don't get to call my little brother a shithead. Only I do, you know? And so, like,
right,
Broncos
right.
fans were like, hey,
Yep.
you don't get to do this. That's only us that gets to do this.
And then right after they type the exact same thing, essentially.
We live this life every day. We get to overreact
Right.
to these things.
Right.
You can't
You know.
just swoop in. That's not how that works.
I remember early in my writing days, Ty Lawson like took a weird offhanded shot at Chauncey Billups, and everyone was pissed. So I was like, "This is my opportunity. Like, I'm gonna write a sweet like slam piece on Ty Lawson." But I just like went way too hard on like a guy who Nuggets fans had liked for a long time, and there was like everyone was like, No, this is actually way too much. What is wrong with you?
Wow. That's great.
But also, no one comes at Chauncey Billups.
No, seriously. He's our Denver guy.
Exactly.
Next one from Broncolic says, hey guys, feel like I need to clarify my criticism of Hackett. First off, I do think all these issues can be fixed, and I was encouraged by what I saw in Hackett's Monday's press conference. Here's my thing. If it was just one thing he is getting a pass due to inexperience, but it is one, terrible play calls near the goal line, resulting in last place ranking in the red zone. 0 of 18 passing, too much shotgun, and not a single outside run so far with Beck in.
That can't be right?
That's not true. That is not true.
No outside runs with Beck?
No,
There were-
0 of 18 passing.
I can't speak to
Russ
that.
Can't be
was-
right because like the
Russ
catch
was
to
0.
Alberto on the goal line that he didn't get in.
But was he in the red zone?
Yeah,
Was Russ in the red zone when he threw it?
for sure they were like on the 5.
That was just like a 4-yard pass?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I know the pass game he was 0 for 5 within the 5 yards, but
There were at least
Maybe they
three
mean
outside runs to
18
back
plays passing, 0 of them have resulted in touchdowns. That
that
probably
could be
makes
it.
sense.
That could be
Yep. He says 2, leading the league by far in penalties. 3,
Yes.
awful game clock / timeout management. And 4, he's even got the SMH with personnel decision, not personal decision. Why is Javonte not on the field for critical short third downs like 3rd and 2? He did not have a single run for no gain or negative yardage against the Texans until the final run of the game, despite several times being hit in the backfield.
Such a beast.
That's just way too much, and the signs are glaring that he is in way over his head. He needs to show drastic improvement this week, or it could be a really long season. I mean, the Texans could have easily won that game, and playing the way we have the first 2 weeks, what other teams could we have won against? Not many. P.S. RK, was funny hearing you reference my comment about KOC and Kirk Cousins yesterday. I was actually watching Monday Night Football while catching up with Monday's pod, thinking, irony abounds.
Yeah, it's so hard in the NFL because we have so much time to talk about these games after they happen that it's hard to not make an overarching take about one game. Kirk Cousins looks amazing, and then all of a sudden KOC's helpless, and Kirk Cousins just keeps throwing the ball to Darius Slay as if he was on his own team.
Who do you guys have this week, Minnesota or Detroit in Minnesota?
I mean, the Lions are America's team, so I'm rolling with that.
Oh, there we go. I love
But
it.
they're probably going to lose.
Give me Minnesota for now.
Yeah, they are 7-point favorites.
Yep.
Minnesota is, so it's a pretty big line.
All right, next one, and probably last one. We've already run very long here. Mile High Buckeye. My boy, it's been a long time since my last comment, but I have been listening every day. Life has just gotten wild. My wife and I just moved into our first house and found out that we have a baby girl coming in March. Let's go.
Hey, congratulations.
Congrats. The coverage has been great as always. I was wondering if you guys were ever planning on going back to a noon show time during the week. Since I'm out east in Ohio, the noon shows allowed me to listen at work and always made my work days better. Also, there's way too much negative energy coming from Broncos country. We knew that there was a new coaching staff, a new offense, and a new QB. We knew that there would be growing pains while the unit gelled. We knew that this would all take some time. We'll be fine. Everyone breathe. Love y'all. Go Broncos. Alex.
It is crazy how that balance like swings over the course of the week. We're like after the game Monday, it's like 80% people who are just like angry and screaming and want to burn everything down, and 20% people are like, it'll work out. Then we get to this point, it's like 50-50. It's like, yeah, okay, it's gonna be fine. And then also the half that says, burn it all down. This is gonna be terrible.
And look, I've calmed down.
Yeah.
Calmed down.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't
impressed.
a negative pod. We're
part of that
good.
30% swing.
We'll see if we pick a Broncos win tomorrow.
We will.
Oh, man.
I was just thinking about that earlier. That's a tough one.
This game
It is.
is crazy big. Not from a full season standpoint, but from a narrative standpoint. I can't get over the way that this thing can either swing the narrative or enhance the narrative. And it sucks for the Broncos that it's a very tough game because, if you could have gotten another gimme here, or what should be a gimme, then it's so much easier to envision them like getting it right, getting play calls in fast. Hey, the play call doesn't even matter that much. Just get it in there, And Now you get national TV, all the pressure, 1-1. There's a huge difference between 2-1 and 1-2. It's like the ultimate swing game for just about everything.
Okay, let me ask you this question. What would be better for Nathaniel Hacket? Win, but it looks just as bad as last week, or lose, but there's no delay of games, there's no penalties, there's no clock management issues. He uses his timeouts right. The 49ers just outplay him. But you are 1-2.
It is the
Always
win. It is the win.
Always win.
Because again, like right now, you react to every week. Like that's the point of this show, is that there's a day's worth of things to talk about. But what's really going to matter is what happens at the end of the year. And that win is going to be really important to where this final grade is and what we talk about all offseason. Sting for a week to get the loss. To get the win that's ugly. But in the long run, it's worth it.
Okay, but I agree long term. But like next week, the following 5 games after the game, the following 5 days.
It's still just better to win.
Okay.
It'll go back to something that Zach, you and I have been saying for years and years and years on this podcast. The quarterback makes the coach look better. And if you win, it means that probably happened, right?
Yeah.
Russell Wilson overcame. He made some great throw late in the game, and you won. And it would just tell me that, like, okay, Nathaniel Hacket is not going to, at least for me, I would be saying Nathaniel Hackett's not going to be this bad forever.
Right.
But he's lucky in the sense that he has Russell Wilson still here to cover up his flaws. He has more opportunities to keep learning. Like if all of this stuff was happening with the quarterbacks the Broncos have had the last few years, they probably would have gotten blown out week 1 and lost week 2.
Yeah.
But Russ, covers up for a lot of deficiencies, and that's the more important thing for Nathaniel Hackett is he has that guy, and that if they win and he messes up, it means Russ bought him another week to go back to the drawing board and figure it out.
And I hope it's not an either or. I hope it's a win plus no errors there.
Let's hope. All right, we'll be back tomorrow to talk more. Thank you guys for tuning in for a long show. Hit us with a thumbs up on your way out, and we will catch you tomorrow.